Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjit Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. It's my privilege that I am here with you to discuss about capital budgeting. The title of the talk for today is Introduction to Capital Budgeting, which means we are going to begin this capital budgeting topic, which will last for a couple of series, for a couple of sessions. So friends, I will take you back to the very first day when we started financial management series. The very first day we talked about 3 decisions in financial management. The first one was investment decision, second one was financing decision, and third one was dividend decision. So actually the complete ambit of financial management is around these 3 decisions. I repeat, investment, financing and dividend, 3 decisions. It means all the principles, all the techniques, all the tools which we teach in financial management, they actually fall under these 3 business decisions. So today we are going to begin with the first and the foremost decision, which is capital budgeting decision, which means this is a part of investment decision. So investment decision actually has 2 further components in it. One is decision to invest in long term assets, and second is decision to invest in short term assets. Short term assets means working capital requirement. So we would cover this working capital requirement later on after a couple of sessions, but today we are going to target capital budgeting, which is also part of investments. So investment has 2 decisions, one the capital budgeting and the second is working capital requirement or working capital decision. So working capital, we all know the requirement of current assets for running the business, be it inventory, be it in the form of cash itself, be it in the form of debtors or paying some expenses in advance, which we call as prepaid expenses. And most of the businesses, it all depends what kind of approach do they follow to fund the working capital, but the most commonly used is the permanent capital for the permanent working capital, which means the sources are debt, share capital, etc., even to fund the working capital. There are people who are little risk takers, they go for the overdraft facility, ODs, in the form of bank overdraft or overdraft against any collateral or without any collateral, depending upon the goodwill of the business. So that is working capital requirement, funding of working capital. But today we are not going to talk about the working capital funding, but the capital budgeting means the funding or the investment decision for long term asset, be it plant, machinery, building, etc., etc. So how do we define capital budgeting technique or capital budgeting as a concept? So it's a technique, it's a process which is used to evaluate decisions which pertain to fixed assets, right? So which has current outlay or a series of outlays, but they are likely to produce benefits over a period of long term, more than 1 year, which means the inflow of cash or the inflow of return is going to happen in future, whereas I am spending today or maybe more than like once, if the payment is more than once, maybe more in future as well. So the outlay primarily is today, but decision or the commitment is today for sure, right? So 2 things, current, when I say outlay means the cash outflow, when I say inflow means the cash coming to the business in the form of revenue. So benefits, basically the benefits. So benefits are happening or actually occurring in future, whereas the expense, the outlay or the cash outflow is happening today. So we are incurring expenses today in expectation of benefit in future, right? So this may include adding some asset, this may include disposing of some asset and or getting a new one, or modification of the current assets or replacement of the fixed assets, etc., etc., right. So they all are basically my capital investment decision. So any business, on one or the other day may face this situation. Even a small chai wala, even a khokha, outside your university or college or your building or office would need capital budgeting. For him, the capital budgeting is buying a stove, a gas stove, right, which is one time investment for next 10-15 years, or buying a ready, even that vendor is, so doesn't mean that capital budgeting decisions are are of interest to the big size businesses only. Or any small or micro small business would need to decide about the investment in the long term assets, be it a small ready or be it small gas stove or whatever you may call, or spending in a huge building of 20,000 crores, right, maybe 30-acre plant size. So, it is a process of evaluating, selecting long term investment that are consistent with the goal of shareholders. The most important premise of capital budgeting decision is that we should never forget the ultimate objective is to increase the shareholders' wealth, right, owners' wealth. That is the fundamental objective of any financial decision. And for capital budgeting, that remains true. So, it means whenever we are taking any capital budgeting decision, whenever we are following the process to evaluate and ultimately to select investment, long term investment decision, we will focus always on either this particular decision which I am going to take going to help increase shareholders' wealth or not. That would be the criteria in mind all the time. And this capital budgeting process includes 4 distinct steps. The first step is that we decide, we generate proposal. The second is we evaluate those proposals, and then we select, and finally we follow up. So, let us just take an example. So, let us say you want to buy an AC for your home or for your business. So, in both the case it is a capital budgeting decision. So, buying an air condition, what would you do? You will either go online and search for different brands. Basis on the requirement, you will make an assessment that for my size, XYZ size of the room, 10 by 20 or 20 by 40, whatever the size of the room for which you need to have the air conditioning. So, you will find out how many vendors are there and what are the. So, you will generate proposal. As a business, you may require quotations for from various vendors. For individual, you will just look at the any of the online site, or you may visit a market store. There you will ask for the rate, etc., specifications from the shop. So, as an individual, or you may go online. As a business, you may require quotations too. So, this is called generating proposal. So, we are seeking proposals, right, or you are generating proposals in case in the individual capacity by visiting a shop or online. Then we evaluate those proposals, those quotations that my requirement is this, the X brand is giving me these specifications. So, for example, you have a limitation of space. The window size, if you are going for window AC, your window, the existing window has a particular size, you know that your AC cannot be bigger than that, right. So, because you may not like to break wall, etc. Same way another unit or another brand may not be catering to the size of the room you have. So, you will evaluate them for price as well, specification as well, color, the small aesthetic things as well, right. So, we are evaluating those proposals which we generated in the first step. Then third step, we will select that this seems to be best as per my requirement, as per my budget. So, selection is made, and then finally we follow up. We request them to supply that and buy that. So, we make a follow up and we buy that, install that. This is for air condition. You can imagine the same process for machinery, plant, building, etc., etc. So, for all long term proposal, generally anybody individual or a business will follow these 4 steps to decide. But that is not all. We will get into nitty-gritties in details. That was a very brief or initial introduction. So typically capital budgeting decisions are pertaining or evolving around these 5 situations in a business. Now, plant expansion, equipment selection, lease or buy, equipment replacement, and lastly cost reduction. So, plant expansion means what? A business is having a plant of 10 TPH, which means 10 ton per hour, the capacity of the plant. The business is having more demand, wants to expand the production of whatever the product they are producing. So, they would like to go from 10 TPH to 15 TPH now. So, 15%, 50% increase in the current capacity. So, that is an example of capital budgeting decision. Same way, your air condition is of 1.5 ton, you want to expand the capacity. So, you need to either change the motor or need to change some part of the AC to make it 2 ton AC, right? Even that is expansion. So there are a couple of more things, even smallest thing, Wi-Fi have extensions nowadays. Wi-Fi equipment is serving X X area. So you are facing problem in one corner of the building or your office or home, you go for extensions, right? Even that is expansion, because that Wi-Fi or expansion could be required for 1,000 places in your business. It all depends the size, even, but that is also an expansion. So that is one example, plant expansion. The equipment selection is basically you are choosing between different options available. So you have equipment, you want to choose X over Y, Y over Z, right? Then you want to replace the current equipment. You have a current machine or equipment, and any kind of tool. Even imagine any production of car or production of air condition or production of any such thing, we need equipment. We need equipment for smallest of the small thing, even for gardening business, even for a business running plant boutiques. And this is a new thing which is coming up nowadays. We have beautiful plant corners around. They are coming up with they are actually selling gifting plants in beautiful planters. They have very selected plants and they are designing it, they are using their creativity and they are selling it. So even they would need certain equipments, be it small equipments to sow the soil, or to fix the plant, or to to fix up the box, or they would need a couple of equipments, making the soil mixture, etc., etc. So even they need equipment. And imagine any production unit, they certainly need equipment. Imagine a plant producing a car, imagine a plant producing toothpaste, they all need equipments. Thousands of types of equipments, tools are required. So their equipments have certain life, they get obsolete, we need to replace them, we need to buy new equipment, we need to buy a new technique, new style of equipment. So even that decision is a capital budgeting decision, because equipment is having more than 1 year life. We do not consume them in 1 year. So whatever we consume in 1 year is a current asset. Whatever we consume or whatever help us generate revenue is a long term asset, and they have generally more than 1 year life. This was the third situation. The fourth is the lease or buy. Company has a choice to buy a machine, buy an equipment, buy a plant, etc., or to lease it. Leasing business is very famous in North America, in a couple of countries. In India it is picking up. We have a choice to lease it. In India, one of the car, they have come up with this option, that the battery of a green car, means the electric car, I do not want to name the company. So they are giving an option to lease the battery, because battery is about 5-6 lakhs. So they are giving the option to lease it and pay the lease rentals every month, every quarter, or to buy it as it is today. So even such kind of, so imagine a company wants to buy 20 cars for its employees, right? So company has to choose that, because the company need to provide transportation to employees. Company has to choose to buy it or lease it, You know, if so, same is for machinery. We see many construction companies using cranes. The crane has, it's an option to rent a crane, to lease a crane, or to buy. If I am using it for few hours, you know, the gun machines for digging or the crane, etc., I may just rent it for few hours or few days. But if I need it for the whole year, I may not like to buy it, I may not have funds, or I compare the leasing option with the buying option and I end up with deciding leasing. So, lease or buy, even to decide this, should I buy this or should I lease this, even that is a capital budgeting decision which, you know, we take. And the lastly, the cost reduction. So, if let us say if my car is running fine, it's running, but the average it is giving only 10 kilometers per liter. So, so it means, and if I go for overhauling of my car engine, it is likely to increase the mileage, it is likely to give me 15 or 16 kilometer per liter. So, it means this decision, either I should invest in overhauling of the machine, overhauling of the car, or overhauling of the AC or any such machine or not, is a cost reduction decision, because it is not generating me more revenue, but I am going to I am going to save the cost of running the car or running the machinery, right. So, people would suggest you in case your laptop is not working well or it's has slowed down, or so you are spending so much on Wi-Fi, because the same task can be done or finished in 20 minutes rather than 40 minutes you are spending now. So, somebody may suggest you to install this software. So, installing that software or installing some part, you know, people would say put a RAM, put a SIM, put a SD card, etc. Even that is a decision of, you know, cost reduction. So, that is also a capital budgeting decision. So, all the decisions primarily would fall in either of these 5 categories we discussed. So, I am now moving to talk about, you know, that so the decision of the capital budgeting. So, either you decide you know, cost, either it is about cost reduction or it is about buying an equipment or buying a machine. Primarily we are doing two things in capital budgeting. One, we are doing screening of decision, and second, we are deciding the preference, we are deciding the order. So, screening, so accordingly we divide these decisions into two parts, screening decisions and preference decision. When I say screening decisions, means does this proposal or project, does it meet some present standards of acceptance or not, and the second, the preference decision, means selecting amongst the several competing course of actions or proposals. So, let me discuss this, let me explain this to you. So, when I say screening, so it means we have to decide whether this fulfills my standards. Let us say company have a policy of gestation period of 5 years for plant and machinery. So, when I am going to choose any new plant or machinery, which means the capital investment decision, I will compare that how many years this particular equipment will take to give back or return back my investment. That is what is the gestation period, means we will start earning after that period. So, if the company has a standard of 5 years, so when I say I am screening, means if I selected 10 equipments, 10 different brands, so I will actually run or I will screen all the 10 proposal and will see does this meet my standard or not. So, some one of the machine is giving me you know, the gestation period of 3 years, another is giving me 8 years. So, I would have all those proposals which actually are giving me less than 5 years you know, gestation period. So, they all become eligible, the first stage. The second is, then I have to, so for example, out of 10 proposals which I received as a, you know, after inviting the quotations, 5 are fulfilling the standards of the company to accept them. So, they pass the screening stage. Now, these 5 which I selected in the screening decision, now I will run the second step, that, so I will decide which of out of the 5 is the best for me. So, means I will set the order. So, preference. So, we will call that as preference decision, means selecting amongst the competing decision. All those 5 are fulfilling my standards as a company, but then I have still to choose one, because my investment is only, or my requirement is only one, right. So, which one out of the 5, then after that I may use certain more things, who is seems to be promising, where is the, so if my standard was not about the price, which particular decision or company is giving me the best price, or the services, or the any other such aspect which is important to me. So, that is known as selecting amongst the competing decisions or competing proposals, so which we call as preference decision. So, all the decision would be either of these, screening or preference, right. So, after discussing all these basic things, now I would like to talk about the importance of capital budgeting decision. So, capital budgeting decisions are of utmost importance to any business. Why? Couple of reasons. Number 1, it affects the profitability of a firm. Number 2, it affects over a long time span. Number 3, because there is a scarcity of capital. And lastly, number 4, they are not easy to be reversed. So, they are not easily reversible. So, capital budgeting decisions, number 1, they affect the profitability of a firm. Current assets are something which are used to sell and then to get revenue, which gives us profit if our revenue is more than expense. Whereas, the capital budgeting decisions are actually affecting the profit earning capacity, profitability. Profitability is different than profit. As we know, profit is the difference of revenue and expenses for anyone. Profitability is wherever the profits with respect to investment made or with respect to sales. So, when we say profitability with respect to investment, it is return on capital, and when we say profitability with respect to sales, it is gross profit or net profit. So, accordingly we have ratios, return on capital investment ratio, or we have gross profit net profit ratio. So, profitability is the earning capacity. So, here the profitability with respect to investment, because we are talking about capital investment decision. So, it affects my long term profitability, right. So, it is a very important thing, because any business is there because they want to earn profit, and ultimately they want to increase the shareholders' wealth. They want to capture more market, they want to increase the share price, they want to increase the value of the firm in the market, right. So, that was the first thing. The second is they affect the long term span, because the capital budgeting decision could be affecting, if I am investing in building, for example, on an average the building life could be 50 to 100 years, for a reasonably well done building, it should last for 50 to 100 years, or even more than that, depending upon the quality. So, and machineries are, they vary from 5 years to 10 years. For example, if I am buying, even that is a car, even that is a long term capital decision, and generally the cars have 15 years life even in Delhi where we live. So, it affects over long time span. So, that is why something which is affecting your returns, profitability, or your expenditure for long term, it's a very important decision. Then the another thing is, since we are investing for long, since it is going to affect our profitability, but nevertheless we cannot forget that capital is always scarce. Every business is always in scarcity of capital. You talk about the largest business on the earth to the smallest business on the earth. They will all the time will have scarcity of capital, or they will have the scarcity of working capital. If they have some money, they are doing well, they want to expand. So, they need to buy more inventory, they need to buy. So, there is always scarcity of capital in every business, right. So, if you have a limited capital, how can you just invest it without deciding carefully. You have to really to be very careful to decide to invest in a particular machine or a building or not. So, that is the third point in favor of importance of capital budgeting decision. The fourth point in favor of capital budgeting decision is that they are not reversible. Whatever we decide today, right, that I decide to invest in X plant or Y machinery or Z building, they all are capital budgeting. X, Y, Z, 3 category I just mentioned, they all are capital budgeting decision, but we cannot reverse them. The moment we spend, let us say I bought a car a month ago and today if I want to reverse, it is a sunk cost. You know, I can sell it today, but I will never get the same money whatever I paid for it. So, it's not reversible. So, that is why the capital budgeting decisions are very important, because they cannot be reversed. You cannot, if you want to sell it or machinery, building, car, you can sell it off, but you will never get the same price. You know, in my family I just bought a car last month only. The moment we brought it out, we were running on the road. You know, my family member was discussing that so the price has already gone down by few percentage today within a minute when we just stepped out on the road. So, this is a fact. So, capital investment decisions are not reversible. So, that is why we should be very careful in investing in long term investment. We should use this technique of capital budgeting to decide to invest in one particular asset or not. Moving to difficulties, the last thing I want to discuss is difficulty in capital budgeting decision. First of all, uncertainty. Second is difference in occurrence of benefit and cost. Third is difficulty in quantifying all benefits, and the fourth is comprehension of techniques. So, I will explain them for another 2 minutes now. So, first of all, the future is uncertain. If you remember, I began the discussion today by saying that capital budgeting decisions, they pertain to future. Why? We are spending today with the expectation of generating benefit with the help of those assets in future. So, future is uncertain. So, that is why this becomes difficult for us to compare the future benefits with current outlay. And the benefits are happening in future and the cost is happening today. So, it is really difficult to bring them at comparable value. We use time value money, we use discounting, compounding, etc., but this is difficult. And then we cannot quantify all the benefits. In future, we are expecting X few number of benefits in terms of money, but there are certain benefits which are in kind. There are certain benefits which are good for the society, which are not measurable in terms of money today. So, it is not easy to quantify all the benefits. And lastly, the techniques which we use in capital budgeting, there are a couple of techniques which we will be discussing in future. They are not so easy for everyone to comprehend even, because we use mathematical formulas, we use equations, discounting, we use couple of techniques. They all are not so easy to comprehend for everyone. So, these are the difficulties in capital budgeting decisions. With this, I would like to wind up this session. Thank you very much friends for being with me. Time to sign off. Thank you.